Hi everyone, I'm Gary Knoll. I'd like to welcome you to our program. We're here to talk about health and nutrition, ways to improve the quality of our lives. Today, we continue with our odyssey of going around the world, showing you the clinics and individuals who are having the greatest success with that dreaded big C word, cancer. The difference is these people are actually surviving cancer. Now, they have not only taken chemotherapy or radiation, but they've also taken herbs and vitamin C drips and ozone and guided visualization, all forms of therapy. It's not just a second opinion we need, it's a different opinion. Join us now in our series on Cancer, Alternative Approaches.
We continuously, every day, program ourselves, the things we think about, the images we see in our heads, the beliefs we have that we kind of govern our lives with. And hypnosis and imagery and guided meditation afford people a very relaxing way to expand those limitations. So, for example, a person confronting something like cancer might have had ideas about cancer that formed over a lifetime, so that the diagnosis and prognosis in and of itself can make a person sick. And in some cancer studies, they found people being told they had cancer were dying sooner than the cancer could actually kill them. So these relaxation therapies, these suggestion therapies are able to change the underlying beliefs that people have about their situation, which gives them room.
Well, it's been found that stress, if left unresolved, could eventually cause a whole variety of different emotional disorders. And our brain has a variety of different brain chemicals known as endorphins and serotonins. And what happens is that these serotonins and endorphins are affected when we have a larger amount of stress and a larger amount of emotional distress. What flower essences do is change the emotional balance, and it sort of works like a scale of justice. It takes out the emotional negatives and creates emotional positives so that you relieve those stresses and you balance it. It works on the same concept as acupressure or acupuncture by relieving emotional imbalances and creating energy, positive reactions and positive forces. People who undergo cancer and have cancer, even if it's being treated and even if the prognosis is good, have short-term depression. So mustard would be a very, very important one to use. There's also a flower essence called Yarrow Special Formula. Yarrow Special Formula is a North American essence, but what Yarrow Special Formula combines is yarrow along with echinacea and arnica. And what that does is it also takes care of the environmental problems surrounding our society and surrounding the problems that are underlying and causing, in many cases, the cancers, the chemicals, the radiations, the variety of different things of that nature. Then, of course, the 5-flower formula can be used for helping with cancer because the 5-flower formula is relieving emotional distress. And the frame of mind has been shown to directly treat and directly be a factor in a successful treatment of cancer. If a person has a positive frame of mind, there's a better chance that other cancer treatments will be successful. If you don't have a positive frame of mind, chances are you won't.
Classical homeopathy is a science that treats the whole person, not just the disease or the disorder that they carry. In so doing, it provokes the system, the healing defense mechanisms of the system, the immune system of that person to cure itself. When we take a case of a patient, we want to know everything about them, their personality, the modalities of their symptoms, and that means what makes them feel better, what makes them feel worse, the symptoms of their disorder. If they have cancer, it's not just cancer. Everybody experiences the pain and the discomfort and where the cancer is in a different way. And each person responds to it differently in an emotional way as well. And so we take the case of the whole person and we find a remedy that matches the whole person. And there are remedies that exist that are almost like us in the sense that they can cure the symptoms that we have. It's like treating like.
Homeopathic doctors have learned to treat cancer from at least 1825 with homeopathic remedies. In my recent book called The Collected Writings of Arthur Hill Grimmer, Dr. Grimmer was a person who practiced homeopathy in America for 57 years, and he had very wide experience in chronic diseases of many kinds, and especially was he qualified to treat cancer. He treated several hundred cases, if not several thousand cases, in his life of practice. Dr. Grimmer developed a class of remedies that were not known before and used them very successfully in cancer. I can give you some examples, but that will only be a smattering. The remedies that he developed were cadmium remedies. Cadmium, as you know, is a metal, and the salts of cadmium were particularly effective in the treatment of cancer. One of the cadmium remedies that was known to homeopaths before was cadmium sulfuricum or cadmium sulfate. It had been used with success in several cases of stomach cancer, and a famous case of Dr. Kent, already alluded to. Dr. Kent was able to provide relief to the suffering of a woman with terminal stomach cancer. There are other cancers that today we have to deal with. One of them is lung cancer, which is a real threatening cancer. It is really, of course, seen in smokers, but it is also seen in non-smokers. Some people have reported that those exposed to the odor and the cigarette smoke that is in the environment, either in buildings and so on, also have a predilection for that. Among the important remedies there are cobalt muriaticum, which is the chloride of cobalt. As you all know, people who work in cobalt mines often get cancer. There again, proving that what a substance can produce, it can also cure. Dr. Grimmer gave us interesting cadmium remedy for cancer of the lung. It was cadmium bichromate, not known before. Phosphorus is also another remedy for lung cancer.
Homeopathy can be very effective in treating some of the emotional and mental problems that can occur, such as fear and anxiety. A very good remedy for fear is arsenicum album. When a person can't sleep at night, they're restless. A good remedy for depression is something like nature muriaticum or ignatia from the effects of bad news. And it's very comforting to the patient, it's non-toxic, and also very important to the immune system.
The other remedy that Dr. Grimmer developed was cadmium metal, the metal itself, and Dr. Grimmer used it successfully for many cases of breast cancer. And cured several cases. One such cured case is given in my book called The Collected Work of Arthur Hill Grimmer. A third cadmium remedy he developed was cadmium iodata, or the iodide of cadmium, which he used very successfully in those people who had been treated with radiation therapy and who suffered bad effects from the radiation. I have had 2 cases of bladder cancer cured with homeopathic remedy. Interestingly enough, it's a remedy that's available in every health food store. It is saw palmetto, but it is better given as a homeopathic remedy than as a capsule of saw palmetto. The remedy, also called sabal cerulata, took away the cancer of bladder of a woman, and it has remained well. In fact, a recent cystoscopy showed a completely well bladder with no more cancer. The cure stands after over 3 years ago or 4 years ago when this patient was treated. Another patient of bladder cancer was a recurrent cancer. The patient had been operated, had chemotherapy, and the bladder cancer returned. And the use of the same remedy, sabal cerulata, in fact in the potency of 18, given given several weeks, dissolved in water, took the cancer away completely.
Nausea is also another big problem, and remedies like ipecacuanha, nux vomica, lycopodium can be very important for considerations of the digestive system, including nausea.
Even in those cases that are incurable, with homeopathy you can lessen their suffering. I've had the privilege of helping patients who are dying from cancer. One memorable case I had was of a lung cancer patient in the last moments of death, an excruciating pain. I was called to attend to this patient, and the family had asked me to give him high doses of morphine. In fact, I found the symptoms of arsenicum so very clearly written that 1 or 2 doses of arsenicum gave complete relief from the pain, and the patient was very comfortable until such time when death took him and he went painlessly.
There are a number of things that we must do with every cancer patient, and then we get into more specifics regarding the particular protocols given the uniqueness of each cancer. Baseline, we have to, with every person, bathe them nightly in a magnetic field. We do this with a magnetic bed pad, which has small domino magnets. These are placed approximately 1.5 inches apart throughout the mattress pad, which bathes the body in a rather even negative field, which is very important. Remember, it's the negative field that heals. This is very analogous to the way our ancestors laid down on the earth for millennia and received the earth's healing energy.
Regarding the electromagnetic fields again, we're trying to reestablish the cell membrane potential. There are several ways of doing that. Some people apply external magnetic fields. You can use a whole range of devices and ways, such as use of flaxseed oil, use of potassium, etc. Because I view the cell membrane, and this is a bit of metaphorically speaking, with all its fat, a bit like the brain of the cell, because it has all these functions, and the DNA and R at the center of the cell, which is the chromosomes, could be more described as the sex organs or genitals of the cell, unlike what people generally would think, because a lot depends on the cell membrane.
The reason that magnets help in the healing process of cancer is that they alkalize the body while at the same time oxygenating. This is very important because it makes it very difficult for pathogenic activity of all kind to exist in a highly oxygenated alkaline medium. The molecular structure of the oxygen is much more enhanced because of the negative energy. Keep in mind, oxygen is paramagnetic, has 2 open valences that pick up this negative healing energy and bringing it into the body. Keep in mind, it's the Earth's negative energy that heals. It's negative energy that initiates all enzymatic activity and all metabolic activity as a result of that enzymatic activity. So we have here a very powerful healer in negative magnetic energy.
To treat my cancer, I bought a magnetic mattress, and which I would sleep on, and I would put the magnetic pads around where my lymph nodes were swollen. And since I've been using that, my tests came out negative. I used to have a lot of bone pains before, and since I've been using the magnetic bed, I have no bone pains.
So it's very important that we concentrate this magnetic energy at the site of the lesion as well as an overall body conditioning.
In 1992, I had a lump in my right breast, and after several times going to the doctor, we did a biopsy on it and determined that it was malignant cancer, and it was over 1 centimeter, and it had metastasized to my lymph nodes. And I did not do chemotherapy. I did not do radiation. I did several things. One of the main things that I did was magnetic therapy. I bought a magnetic mattress pad. I have 4 by 6 magnets that are 3,900 Gauss at the head of my bed. And every night I would put These are 3 plastiforms that are molded with a neodymium magnet at the point where the lump was. So I did magnetic therapy every night. I also did lots of juicing, including wheatgrass juice. I did guided visualization. I did rebounding, which was good for getting the toxins out of my lymph nodes. And I got a clear bill of health within about 2.5 months. He said he'd never seen anything like it before.
Back in the 1930s, Raymond Royal Wright developed a device that he felt would help understand the electrical charge of a cancer cell. By understanding that charge, he could then create a frequency that would change the vibration of the cell, and with that, in effect, would change the cell to explode from excess energy. Whether or not anyone has had success duplicating his results remains to be seen, but some will use the right frequency generator. Qigong is a method of self-healing used in China for centuries, and through modern research is now shown to be efficacious, especially in conjunction with other modalities.
Qigong can be complex and esoteric, can be difficult and long to learn. Like, for instance, one form of Qigong is called Tai Chi. Tai Chi is a 108 movements, a long form of Qigong. There are some forms that are just as simple as taking a deep breath, adjusting your posture, and quieting your mind. So it can go from all the way over on the complex side, all the way over to the very simple side. All of them, the complex and the simple, can be applied for self-healing. However, if the person is very unwell, then the easy practices are really the only ones that they can do. When you do these practices, particularly the breathing, accelerates the lymphatic system, which is the primary pathway for the circulation of immune cells, as well as the primary pathway for the detoxification of waste products from the body. So in the practice, we accelerate the immune system by accelerating the lymphatic system, particularly with the part where the person is deeply relaxed or doing deep breath practices. In addition, the deep relaxation of Qigong shifts the neurotransmitter profile, that is the brain chemistry, from a adrenaline-based side of things. In other words, adrenaline is available to get you going and keep you rushing around, and frequently is typically very ample in the system when you are highly stressed. Well, this actually turns off the immune system, whereas the absence of adrenaline in the system turns on the immune system, and that is all related to the production of neurotransmitters, and those neurotransmitters which tend to promote self-healing are enhanced by Qigong practice. In addition, the circulation of the blood carrying oxygen and nutrition to the cells is enhanced by these practices in a number of ways. One is that when you relax, your blood vessels open wider, and therefore there is more blood being carried to certain parts of the body. And in addition, when you do the very slow movements, what occurs is that your muscles are asking for oxygen, but instead of having to spend that oxygen then, because the muscles are going so hard and so fast as they would be in jogging or pumping iron or aerobics type classes, what happens is that oxygen then becomes available as a self-healing resource within the system. Breathing in, you turn your hands up, you look up, you bend your back forward, and you are exhaling. Then, when you come downward, you make fists, and you are inhaling, pressing your fists together, creating pressure in your arms. And then inhaling again, you're looking up, and then exhaling, you're looking down, pressing your arms together. This very, very simple exercise accelerates the rate at which the lymphatic system is moving throughout the body, And the relaxation, of course, shifts the neurotransmitters into the healing mode. Now there's an alternative to this method, particularly suited for women, with the idea of preventing or healing breast cancer. And on that one, what happens is that when you're coming down, the arms come around, hit the side of the body back here, and as your fists come together, then you're bringing your arms along the side of the body and squeezing towards the front. And then at the end, when your arms are coming up, they come straight up with a kind of lifting gesture. Qigong, particularly targeted at cancer, is a very interesting question because this is the area in China where Qigong has gotten the most research. And what has been found is that those individuals who have cancer diagnosis, who do these practices in addition to whatever their medication might be, whether it's Western medicine, chemotherapy, radiation, or surgery, or whether it's Chinese medicine, acupuncture, herbal formulas, massage, doing Qigong in addition as an adjunctive practice, let's say, to any kind of therapy has been demonstrated with lots and lots and lots of research to enhance the longevity. In other words, the survival period of the person who has cancer is elongated by adding the practice of Qigong no matter what kind of medicine they're taking.
Dr. Stanislaw Brzezinski, both MD and PhD, has treated about 5,000 patients with advanced cancer with impressive success since 1977.
Within the last year, we made marked progress, both in basic research as well as in the treatment of patients. Whatever we accomplish in basic research, and of course this is with cooperation of numerous researchers all over the world, is that we see more and more that antineoplastons work as molecular switches. They turn off the genes which are necessary to produce cancer cells, such as oncogenes, especially a RAS family of oncogenes. And on the other hand, they turn on tumor suppressor genes. Tumor suppressor genes which are brakes which are preventing malignant cells to be replicated. They force them to die through programmed cell death or apoptosis. So what we normally do, we turn off accelerators or oncogenes and we turn on the brakes, tumor suppressor genes. And with such combination, we have a chance to get rid of various types of cancers. Of course, those cancers where antineoplastons, which we now have in our possession, can regulate the genes, because we know that we can regulate RAS family of oncogenes and we can regulate p53 tumor suppressor genes. And these are the genes which are responsible for approximately 50% of all cancers. But we can have many of these patients, and in clinical trials in brain tumors, where I'm going to present results tomorrow, approximately 20% in some of these trials, 20% of our patients failed, but 80% have various types of benefit. Many of them obtain complete elimination of highly malignant brain tumors. The others have more than 50% decrease of the tumor size. We already have patients who are free from brain tumors for many years. We are approaching 10 years for some of these patients who are free from highly malignant brain tumors and who do not take our medicine anymore, who live normal life and are completely free. So obviously the number of such patients is increasing, but what is important is to offer the treatment to these people when the disease did not have a chance to destroy the brain to a large extent. Some of these tumors are so aggressive that even in a matter of months they may increase 3 times. And then of course they produce destruction of the brain. In such a situation, even if we eliminate the tumor, the patient may not recover because there is already neurological damage. So it is important to detect soon enough who is suffering from such tumors and offer them treatment at early stages. Unfortunately, most of the patients who are coming to us are in final stages of cancer. They are very advanced, and of course some of them have very short life expectancy. But we hope that once this treatment will be fully approved by FDA, then the other people will be helped at early stages of cancer. antineoplastons may work theoretically on 50% of all cancer. These are antineoplastons which we have now in our possession. Of course, there are some other antineoplastons which we know that exist. We isolated them, we tested them, for instance, in the test tubes. And some of them we already have phase 1 clinical trials. But of course, it's a tremendous amount of work for us to do all of these trials. We are a small company. We don't receive any support from the government. And for us to do all of this, it takes, obviously, a lot. But we have second generation of antineoplastons in the pipeline. We are working on them in our laboratories. And these antineoplastons should be about 1,000 times more active than those which we have now. So we don't stay in one place. We are moving forward. And we are trying to increase activity of antineoplastons, which we are using now, as well as we are trying to develop new preparations which will work on the cancers where we don't have good results at this moment.
Dr. Brzezinski has been attacked repeatedly. In fact, the Food and Drug Administration and the state of Texas have made it a personal mandate to isolate Dr. Brzezinski and do all they could to try to take away his license.
Oh, I believe there's a lot of American public can do. I am alive today and here because of American public. FDA wanted to put me to prison for about 300 years, and they failed miserably. And this is primarily because of support of American public. Jury decided that I am not guilty, that the charges against us were frivolous, but it would never happen if you would not have such overwhelming support from American people. And I think this support is still needed. And why is needed? Because normally the new medicine should be approved for the treatment of cancer in the United States if you have only one successful clinical trial. That's the amendment which was introduced by President Clinton about a year and a half ago. And there are already some chemotherapy drugs which have been approved based on this amendment. Currently, we have at least 4 clinical trials which are proving that the medicine works. We have overwhelming evidence that the medicine works. And before we present the results of these 4 clinical trials, there were 2 other clinical trials which were done without FDA blessing. They were done outside the FDA approval process. But the results were studied by the experts from National Cancer Institute, and they concur that the treatment works. So there's overwhelming evidence in the type of tumors where nothing can work. So FDA should not drag their feet. They should allow this treatment to be available for American people because it's already saving numerous lives.
Our journey continues. Next week, be right back here at the same time, same place, where we will take you to other places showing you even more on alternative approaches to cancer. I'm Gary Null. Have a nice week.